Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I am here with my newest rescue animal and I felt the need to do a video on him. If any of you happen to follow me on Instagram or Twitter, you likely already know what is going on with this little snake here, but for those of you who don't and for those of you who do and just want more information, I'm gonna give it to you. I don't really want to waste any time on a long intro or anything like that, so I just want to get right into it and start talking about Medusa here. I do want to say Medusa is actually a boy. I was under the impression that he was a girl when I first got him, so that's why his name is Medusa, but I am looking for a new name for him since, you know, I feel like Medusa doesn't really fit him. So if any of you guys have any name suggestions for him, feel free to leave them below. Now let's get in and introduce you guys to Medusa. So Medusa here is a super cinnamon ball python, and believe it or not, he is 5 years old. Now, judging by his size, you would not think that he is 5 years old, and that is because he is about the size of a 5-month-old ball python. He is very tiny. So even though I'm not keeping the name Medusa, I'm going to continue to call him Medusa just throughout this video because I have nothing else to call him. So for this video, we're going to be calling him Medusa. So I got Medusa here from someone who could no longer care for him and honestly was not caring for him when they had him, unfortunately. As you can see, Medusa is extremely small. I've already said this, but his growth is extremely stunted because he was not being taken care of properly. I'm going to go ahead and put Medusa down for a little bit. I'll bring him out again later, but he's being very explorative and I don't know, it's a little hard for me to explain while he's crawling around. So I'm going to put him back for a minute and explain everything to you guys. So I think for the sake of this video, we'll just start right from the beginning and I'm just going to really explain the best I can what is going on with Medusa. So from the day I first got Medusa, I knew right away he was going to need to go to the vet. So I brought Medusa home and I set up a quarantine enclosure for him. So once I got him and everything like that and he was all set up in his enclosure, I made a vet appointment for him, which was on October 9th, I believe. This pile of papers here is all of the vet work I have acquired for Medusa over the time I've had him. So I can go back and check the exact date. It was October 9th was his first vet appointment. So on October 9th, I took Medusa to the vet and I, of course, explained the situation to the vets and the vet techs. I told them that I got him from someone who was not taking proper care of him. So they decided that they wanted to do a couple things. They wanted to do some x-rays so that they could get a good look at what's going on inside. They wanted to do some blood work to check for a couple things, as they did suspect that he had some sort of infection, and they obviously did a full exam, like physical exam. And yeah, I'm not a vet, I don't know exactly how all of that works, but they did, you know, what they needed to do. Basically, on the first day they did the x-rays and they knew right away that they wanted to do blood work, but before they did the blood work, they wanted to wait to get all of the results back from the radiologist who was looking at his x-rays in case there were any additional tests the radiologist wanted ordered. So the first day I went, they just did the x-rays, the exam, and they did also give him an enema because they did find that he was constipated, so they wanted to help him get things moving. That is what went on the first visit. I will insert the x-rays on the screen so that you guys can see them, but there were a number of things that they found on the x-rays. Obviously, it is very obvious his growth was stunted. He also does have 2 spinal kinks, and those are also visible, like just with the eye. You don't need an x-ray to see them, but unfortunately super cinnamon ball pythons are prone to getting spinal kinks, like being born with them. It's really common in their morph. So he's essentially had those kinks since birth. He has one up by his neck and another one down by his tail. One of the main reasons they wanted to do the x-rays though was they wanted to make sure he also didn't have any sort of blockage like in his digestive tract, which he didn't. He was constipated, but there was no blockage. First vet visit consisted of the physical exam, some x-rays, and an enema, and my total for that visit was $321.43. And we already knew we wanted to do the blood work after they got the results back from his x-ray. So then I believe on October 11th, let me check my papers. Yes, it was October 11th that I went in for my second visit. So by October 11th, they had the radiologist's results back, so they knew exactly what blood test they wanted to order. So he went in for blood work and a fecal exam, and he had to get another enema. When they did the first enema, it didn't get rid of all the poop inside of him, so he still had some left. So they gave him another enema, and they used the stool that they collected from that one to do a fecal exam. And like I said, he had to get the blood work. And from what I was told, when it comes to doing blood work on reptiles, they did need a decent amount of blood from him because they did want to run multiple tests, and it is hard to get a good amount of blood from their body because they just don't have a whole lot of blood circulating them. So they actually had to take the blood directly from his heart. So in order to do that, they had to sedate him so that they could get the blood from his heart. That is what was going on that visit. So the second visit, I had the blood test, I had fecal exam, the sedation, and another enema, and my total cost for this visit was $82.23. So this was on October 11th. So at this point, we knew that he was obviously underweight. We knew that his growth was stunted. His muscle mass was very poor. Basically, he was so underfed in his previous home that all of his muscles were deteriorating, so he has very little muscle mass, underweight, stunted. We knew about the spinal kinks, and we knew that he had constipation, but they didn't know the exact reason why yet, but we knew that he was constipated. So that's what we knew for sure at this point. And they also suspected that he has some sort of infection, which is what the blood test is for. They suspected that he probably had some sort of parasites which could cause constipation, and they also, I don't want to say they assumed, but they thought it was a possibility that he could have compromised organ function, basically because of the fact that he was taken such poor care of in his previous home. They said that it was possible some of his organs may be compromised. After this vet visit, there was nothing they could tell me right away because they needed to wait for the blood work results and they needed to wait for the fecal exam results. So they sent me home, and they sent me home with a post-sedation care sheet because, like I said, my snake was sedated at the vet so that they could do the blood work. Brought him home, and yeah. So then on October 13th, I had my final vet visit. As of now, I mean, at the time I'm filming this, it's October 15th right now, so like this was only 2 days ago, and I know that I will be back at the vet in the future, but this was all the vet visits I've had so far. So on October 13th, we had all of the blood work results, we had the fecal exam results, and we basically had all the information at this point. So I went back to the vet to get the information, and I had to pick up some medications and instructions. So now I have this sheet here, and this is essentially my snake's workup. I don't know, they talk about like all of the issues he has and my instructions to move forward. So I'm going to kind of go through this with you guys. So basically, after getting the blood work and the fecal exam results back, it was found that my snake had multiple parasite infections, which were hookworms, entamoeba, and isospora. I don't know if I pronounced that right, I probably didn't. Enteritis and septicemia. And then of course there is also still the issue of him being underweight and stunted, but those aren't really issues you can fix with medication. Those just kind of have to be taken care of with proper care, a proper diet, proper temperatures, everything like that. So after the parasites that they found, those do explain his issues with constipation. The parasites that he has, they do affect his digestive tract. So given the parasites he has, that's pretty well the reason he's been constipated. So he may need more enemas in the future to help him move things along until he is clear from his parasite infections. And then hopefully once all of the parasites are gone, hopefully he will regain some strength and he'll be able to move everything along on his own. But in the meantime, he may need some more enemas to help him go. And then he also has septicemia, which was the infection that they suspected, and it was confirmed by the blood work. So as of now, he is on 2 different oral medications, and he is on an injectable antibiotic. So he does have to get 2 oral medications, and he does need injections. The oral medications are to treat his parasites, and the injection is to treat the septicemia. And then of course I do have care things I need to do, such as keeping him in quarantine. That is one of the things I have to do. And then obviously I have to give him a proper diet. And then I do have to give him his medications. So now I do actually give him all of the medications myself. I don't have to take him into the vet to get them or anything. They're all done at home. So it is less stress on him, because if I was having to take him to the vet every 3 days to get his injections, for example, that can be really stressful on them. So it's much easier for me to do it at home. So the vets did train me how to do everything myself, because it is a little bit tricky. I'll show you his medications now and explain it so you guys can see why it's a little tricky. These here are the 2 of his oral medications, which are being used to treat his parasites. I'm just going to kind of show you with one of them because both given to him in the exact same way. This is the medication here, and this is the syringe. And this here is a catheter tube. So when you give snakes oral medications, or at least from what I gathered, maybe this doesn't apply to all snakes, but at least when I give my snake his medications, you can't just inject it like right into his mouth. I can't just take the syringe and put it in his mouth and squirt the medication in there. It's kind of hard for them to swallow tiny amounts of liquids like that. You basically have to inject it right into his stomach. So what I have to do is put the catheter tube on the syringe, and it is pretty long. I don't know exactly how long it is, but there's a little black mark on the catheter tube right here, and this marks how far I have to put the tube in his throat. So this would stop right where his mouth goes. So this much of the tubing has to go down his throat in order to inject the medication right into his stomach, basically. So that's how I have to give him his oral medications, and it is the exact same for both of the medications. The only difference is one of them he gets every 48 hours, so every 2 days, and the other one he only has to get once a week. And the last thing he gets are his antibiotic injections. So these are actually a needle, like, you know, it's an injection. I have to give him a needle, and he has to get one of these every 3 days. So I'm not going to open the cap, obviously, but this is the injection that I have to give him. And there is 7 of them total, and he gets one of them every 3 days. So unfortunately, due to improper care, this snake was in very bad condition when I first got him. Honestly, close to death. If he was left with his old owner, he probably would not have made it much longer. So I'm currently doing everything that I can to help him make a somewhat full recovery. He will probably never be the same as a normal ball python. He will be small for his whole life. He will always have his spinal kinks, but for the most part, with proper treatment and proper care, hopefully he can live a normal life in the future, and he will, I'm hoping he does really well with all of this. That's all the information I can give you guys right now. Something I'm pretty interested in doing is kind of doing a vlog series with him, so I can vlog his progress, and like I can vlog him getting his medications, and if I have to go back to the vet, which I already know I do, I'll have to go back in a few weeks to get some tests redone and everything. I think that it will be interesting to show you guys. I do have quite a few videos I want to make with him. I think that there's a lot of important lessons to come from him, so I do have a lot of him that I want to share with you guys in the future. So yeah, if you guys are interested in seeing his progress, make sure you stick around, because like I said, I will be doing some vlog style updates on him. So this video here, I guess, was just kind of a little sit down video explaining the situation with Medusa, and I will have lots of update videos in the future. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I do hope you guys stick around to see more updates on him. Once again, I do need a new name for him. If you want to leave some suggestions down below, that would be appreciated. Medusa is here to say goodbye. One thing I do want to say before I go is, despite all of his health issues, he is doing really well. He is a very active snake. I mean, you guys saw him earlier climbing around. He's very alert, which is good. He's a very good eater. So despite all of his issues, he is doing really well. So that's a good sign always, of course. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Medusa appreciates it, and we hope to see you in some future videos. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.